Hello and welcome back to English Podcast Voice, the place where we break down English for you. I'm your host, Quinn.
And I'm Riley. Good to be here, everyone.
It feels great to be back. And, we're diving into something today that I think is just so incredibly relatable.
I think so, too. We're really tackling what might be the single biggest roadblock for, millions of English learners, mastering that tricky intermediate level.
Absolutely. Because here's the real struggle, right? The problem that so many of you listening probably feel. You're at that solid B1 level. You can read a book, with a bit of effort. You can follow most of what we're saying right now. The basic grammar rules. But then the moment you have to actually speak,
It all just slows down.
it grinds to a halt. That little translator in your head kicks in, and the words just feel sticky. They don't flow.
That is the infamous intermediate plateau. Some people call it the B1 slump.
Yes, the slump. You feel like you know the language, but you just can't seem to use it. It's like you're stuck between understanding everything and speaking easily. And I personally know that feeling of being completely, utterly overwhelmed by all the advice out there. You see thousands of apps, new textbooks, YouTube channels.
It's a lot of noise.
It is. And you just feel like you never have enough time. You end up just, spinning your wheels and getting more and more frustrated.
That is a perfect and, I think, a deeply relatable description. Because at that B1 level, the hard reality is that your passive knowledge,
Of the stuff you can read and listen to.
exactly, everything you can recognize, listen to, and read it significantly outpaces your active ability, your ability to produce the language.
So the problem isn't learning more words.
For most B1 learners, no. The challenge, the real mission, isn't about cramming thousands of new words into your brain. It's about making the words and grammar you already know come out automatically, smoothly, without that constant draining mental translation process.
And that is exactly what we're here for. We want to be the antidote to that mental exhaustion. Today, we are cutting through all that noise. We're going to dive into a structured, really powerful 20-minute daily routine.
Maximum 20 minutes.
Right. And it's specifically designed to just blast through that B1 plateau and automate your speech. We're not adding more hours to your already busy day.
No, this is about strategy, not just more time.
We are adding intensity and focus to the few minutes you already have.
And you'll definitely want to stick around for this because we have a genuinely surprising and actionable fact coming up later.
Ooh, a teaser. I like it.
It involves your personal energy levels, and we'll also have a quick mental challenge for you. We're going to test you on the subtle but really significant difference between words like hectic and, say, just busy.
Okay, I can already feel my brain working on that one.
And most importantly, by the end of this deep dive, we want you to figure out if you are truly a night owl or an early bird. And you'll understand exactly why, knowing that one thing about yourself matters more for your study schedule than any textbook you could ever buy.
That is an excellent challenge.
Right.
Knowing yourself really is the first step. But before we jump in and start architecting this powerful routine, we do have a very quick but mandatory favor to ask.
It really helps us out.
It does. Right now, if you could, please just hit that subscribe button for English Podcast Voice and give this deep dive a like. Your support is it's crucial. It helps the show find other listeners just like you and lets us keep creating this focused, useful content. We genuinely appreciate every single click.
We really do. Thank you.
Okay, let's do this. Let's unpack the core idea. We set the goal, a short, powerful 15 to 20-minute routine.
Right.
And it has to focus on when our cognitive functions are at their absolute peak. But the immediate question I have, and I'm sure our listener has, is how on earth do I figure out when my peak time actually is?
That is step one. It's the foundation. It's the layer you have to put down before you even think about the first minute of your schedule. You have to accurately identify your chronotype.
Chronotype. Okay, that sounds scientific.
It is. And it brings us to this core biological distinction that dictates everything. Are you an early bird or are you a night owl?
Okay, let's get a really simple, practical definition, something you can use to sort of self-diagnose right now while you're listening.
Absolutely. So an early bird, scientifically speaking, is someone whose natural chronotype, their internal body clock, favors waking up early.
Okay.
Their clock dictates that they will naturally have their highest sustained energy, their best focus, their deepest concentration in the morning hours. Often from the moment they get up until maybe, noon or early afternoon, their body and mind are just primed to absorb information early in the day.
So these are the people who are like sending super productive emails at 6:30 a.m. and they look annoyingly cheerful while they're doing it.
Is that 'em?
The people I secretly suspect are not actually real.
They are very real. Let's use an analogy. Think of them like a well-stocked bakery. It thrives, it does its best business because it opens its doors before dawn.
I like that. Okay, so what about the other side of the coin?
The night owl, they are the mirror image. Their biological clock naturally prefers staying up late and waking up later. Their body and mind are often low on that immediate energy. They don't have deep focus until maybe noon or even later in the afternoon for some people,
So their best work happens after lunch.
or even after dinner. Their peak productivity, their mental clarity, it only truly arrives in the late afternoon, the evening, or sometimes even deep into the night.
So if the early bird is the bakery,
The night owl is the high-end restaurant or maybe the cool jazz club that only really comes alive and finds its energy after 8 p.m.
that analogy,
Yeah.
that really clarifies things for me because it's about a natural tendency, not just a schedule someone forces on you.
Exactly.
But, okay, if I'm a B1 learner, why does this matter so profoundly? I mean, shouldn't I just try to squeeze in study time wherever I can find a gap in my day?
Well, you can, but it won't be nearly as effective. The core reason, and this comes directly from studies on cognitive retention, is all about maximizing the efficiency of your effort. You must align your most intensive study tasks, the things that require high focus, with your most productive hours. Those B1 breakthrough tasks, things like complex dictations, active speaking practice, shadowing, they demand huge cognitive resources.
They're hard work.
They're very hard work. And when your mind is naturally primed and ready for that work, you absorb, you process, and you retain that information dramatically more efficiently. You're leveraging your natural biological energy schedule instead of constantly fighting against it.
So if I'm a serious night owl and I try to force myself to do, I don't know, heavy grammar work or shadowing at 6:30 in the morning before my brain has even, fully switched on, that's actually counterproductive. I'm just wasting my energy.
We're not just wasting that energy. You are actively creating negative associations with the learning process. You start to dread it.
Because it feels awful.
Because it feels awful. You're using your lowest, most sluggish energy for a high-effort task. A truly smart schedule dictates this. If you're an early bird, you schedule that active learning right after you wake up. Then, later in the day, during that common mid-afternoon slump when your energy dips, what do you do then?
You do the easy stuff.
Exactly. You use that time for low-effort, passive review. Listen to a podcast, flick through some flashcards. The task has to match the energy level.
I see. So you use your best, most focused hours for the hardest work, and the lower energy hours are for simple maintenance, for review and reflection.
That's not just smart scheduling.
It's energy management.
It is entirely about strategic effort. It's about respecting your own biology, not just forcing more hours into the day.
Okay. So speaking of starting the day, let's zoom in on a classic point of confusion. I know this trips up intermediate learners all the time. It's the distinction between two very basic verbs we use for the morning. What is the precise difference, the real nuance between I wake up and I get up?
This is an excellent detail to focus on because native speakers use them very precisely to describe two entirely different parts of the morning. So waking up is the internal mental event. It's when your eyes open, your brain becomes conscious, you are no longer asleep.
The switch flicks back on.
Right. But, and this is the critical part, you are still physically lying in your bed.
Ah, so that's the moment the internal monologue starts again. Ugh, it's Monday.
Exactly that. Now, getting up, on the other hand, is the literal physical action. It is the act of leaving the mattress, swinging your legs over the side, placing your feet on the floor. It's the moment gravity reclaims you for the day.
I know that gap between those two events very, very well. Some days it's the longest part of my entire day.
Many of us do. And that period between waking up and getting up is often where the real struggle happens. It's that moment of internal negotiation, that little mental battle where you debate hitting the snooze button for the 5th time.
Yeah, just 5 more minutes.
So one is a state of consciousness waking up. The other is a state of physical movement getting up. And knowing that difference gives you much more precise control when you talk about your daily routine.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. And it leads us perfectly into the vocabulary we need to describe the quality of that morning.
Right. Is it a good morning or a bad morning?
Exactly. So let's dive deep into our first key word for B1 learners, Hessi-seat.
Let's inject some real color into those routine descriptions.
My first question has to be this. Is hectic, basically the same as busy? They seem to describe a lot of activity.
And that is the exact nuance that we need to capture. Because while they both imply activity, hectic implies something significantly more intense and usually more negative than just busy.
Or negative, okay.
The core meaning of hectic really boils down to this. A situation or a place is full of frenzied activity. It often involves confusion, urgency, or a big rush. It carries a really strong implication of stress, of overwhelming demands, and often a feeling that you've lost control, like you're caught in a mad rush.
So if my morning is just full of scheduled appointments, it's busy.
Right.
But if those appointments are suddenly conflicting, my train is late and my dog gets sick. That's hectic.
That is hectic. You've gone from being at capacity to being over capacity. It's chaos.
Okay, it sounds much more dramatic. Let's really hammer that feeling home with some diverse examples.
Okay, let's show the full range of how it can be used. First, a formal example. The chief operating officer managed the hectic schedule of international launches with remarkable composure.
Okay, very businesslike.
Now, a casual one. My Monday mornings were always completely hectic, trying to get the kids fed and out the door before I've had coffee.
I feel that one. What about a funny or weird one?
How about this? Trying to herd 5 excited kittens into their carriers was a truly hectic scene involving a lot of frantic meowing.
I can picture that chaos perfectly. And a historical example.
During the gold rush, the supply towns transformed into hectic, chaotic, and often lawless environments.
It really paints a picture of uncontrolled energy.
Right. And finally, a philosophical one. We must consciously choose focus over the constant, self-imposed, hectic noise of modern life.
Wow. That last one really hits home. It suggests that hectic is often a state we allow ourselves to get into.
That's a great insight. Okay, let's try that extended role play now. Let's contrast a planned week with a sudden, chaotic reality. So tell me about your work week so far.
Oh, don't ask. I feel like I aged about 5 years between Monday and Wednesday. It was an absolute whirlwind. I'm honestly just trying to catch my breath right now.
I noticed your message replies were coming in at like 1 in the morning. What happened? Did the whole schedule just crash and burn?
Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And all at the same time. I had the huge quarterly presentation due on Tuesday, which was stressful enough. But then we had a massive power outage that took out our main server. And suddenly, every single person needed my attention about a critical problem.
Yeah.
It was completely hectic.
Oh, that is so much more than just busy. See, you weren't just busy writing a report. You were rushing. You were dealing with a technical failure. You were fielding 100 frantic calls.
I was operating in a state of panic, basically.
Exactly. You spent 3 days just rushing from one crisis to the next. Your feet barely touched the ground. Your mornings, especially, must have felt like a mad rush.
They were. I had zero control. So the difference really is stress versus capacity. Busy is having a full plate. Hectic is when the plate has already shattered and food is flying everywhere.
That is a perfect way to put it. That clarifies it perfectly. And we should also look at the common phrases, the collocations, because this is how B1 learners really upgrade their speech.
Okay.
So we frequently talk about a hectic pace, describing modern life or a demanding job. We talk about a hectic morning, a hectic day, or even a hectic lifestyle. And the key nuance to remember is that it almost always has a negative tone. It strongly suggests stress, too much urgency, a level way beyond simple busy.
That's fantastic. Okay, now let's find our linguistic balance. Let's explore the complete opposite feeling. Let's do a deep dive on the adjective leisurely.
This is the goal. This is the word we all strive for on the weekend.
It is. Now, I often hear people say they had a leisurely breakfast.
Huh.
Is that just a slow breakfast? What's the core feeling here that goes beyond just slow?
You've hit on the key point. It's about intentionality. It's about a chosen state of relaxation and enjoyment. Leisurely, at its core, means done without any rush. It's relaxed, it's unhurried, and importantly, it often suggests that the activity is being done purely for pleasure or enjoyment, not out of necessity.
So it's about the quality of the time spent.
And the intention behind it, yes.
Okay, let's loop the examples to really capture that essence of intentional calm.
Right. Let's start formal again. Following the difficult trade talks, the delegates deliberately enjoyed a leisurely diplomatic lunch in the embassy garden.
They needed de-stress. I get it, a casual one.
We didn't set an alarm and had nowhere to be, so we took a lovely leisurely stroll through the park this afternoon.
That sounds ideal. How about a funny or weird one?
The giant garden tortoise approached the finish line at a surprisingly leisurely speed, pausing only to snack on a rose petal.
Okay, that's a great image. Now historical.
Before the Industrial Revolution, many tasks, like farming, were performed at a more leisurely, natural tempo.
A pre-modern pace of life. And finally, the philosophical take.
Finding moments of leisurely reflection is essential for cultivating a balanced soul.
That idea of an unhurried, natural tempo is such a beautiful contrast to hectic.
It really is.
Let's try to contrast it with your hectic week. Let's do that extended role play about planning a weekend. I'll start. Hey, you seem like you're finally recovering from that absolutely hectic week you described. Are you starting to feel human again?
Slowly, very slowly. I feel like I finally have permission to breathe now that those deadlines are past, but my brain is still kind of buzzing.
Oh, I know that buzzing feeling. So what's the plan for the weekend? You're not going to try and catch up on chores, are you?
Absolutely not. This entire weekend is dedicated to being leisurely. I plan to wake up naturally whenever my body decides to. Then I'm going to have a long, leisurely breakfast on my balcony with a real physical newspaper. No screens, no email.
That sounds wonderful. Zero frantic rushing. No need to drag yourself out of bed.
Zero. In the afternoon, maybe I'll go to a cafe and have a leisurely chat with a friend. We'll just sit and watch the world go by for an hour, maybe 3. The whole point is intentional relaxation.
Well, I hope you maintain that wonderful leisurely pace. You've definitely earned it after all that chaos.
Thank you. The shift in pace is exactly what I need.
Great. And for the B1 listener, let's nail down those collocations and nuances.
Right. Remember these key phrases. We talk about a leisurely pace, a leisurely breakfast, a leisurely afternoon, or a leisurely chat. And the key nuance is that it always implies intentional relaxation. The activity is for pleasure. It's a welcome and often necessary contrast to the stress of work.
Okay, that was a perfect foundation. We've established when to study during your peak hours, and we have the vocabulary to describe the quality of those hours.
Right. Hectic versus leisurely.
So now we transition from when to study to how long to study. And I think most critically, how consistently to study.
This is the core strategic principle. This is what makes the B1 breakthrough actually happen.
And the expert advice here from, linguists, habit specialists, it's all pretty unified, isn't it?
It is.
Consistency is key. Regular practice, even if it's for a tiny amount of time, is so much better than the occasional painful all-day study session.
Exactly. The source material really emphasizes the little and often approach. As Stephanie Marston notes, a 20-minute daily routine might seem insignificant.
It feels like nothing.
Right. But its cumulative impact over months is massive. The key is building sustainable momentum, not just doing these exhausting sprints.
I understand that in theory, but I still think a lot of listeners, and honestly me too sometimes, feel like a 3-hour marathon session on a Saturday must be better than 20 minutes a day. Why is that short, consistent daily practice actually so much more powerful?
Because the brain is wired for repetition. It's not wired for cramming. There are 5 major benefits to this constant daily exposure, and they all address the B1 problem directly.
Okay, let's hear them.
1, it helps you forgetting. When you take long breaks, your brain naturally prunes information it thinks is useless. Daily reinforcement strengthens those neural pathways. The words stick.
Okay, that makes sense.
2, it builds deep confidence. Consistent, small victories, mastering one phrase, understanding one dictation, they make you feel more comfortable. It erodes the anxiety that blocks fluency.
I like that. Small wins.
3, it stays connected. Daily exposure makes English part of your identity. It's not some foreign subject you study. It's just part of your daily rhythm.
Okay.
4, it creates an automatic habit. When you do it daily, it becomes automatic, like brushing your teeth. It's not a struggle you have to force with willpower anymore.
It's just what you do.
And 5, it makes the process enjoyable, not hard work. A 20-minute task feels light and sustainable. Learning should feel like a ritual you look forward to, not a chore you dread.
Those are 5 incredibly practical reasons. It's really about leveraging psychology, not just brute force.
Precisely.
So let's dive into the ultimate goal that this consistency is aiming for. Let's talk about fluency.
The big one. The word everyone wants, but so many people misunderstand.
Everyone wants fluency. But what does it really mean for a B1 learner who can already read pretty well? Is it about knowing every single word in the dictionary?
Absolutely not. And that's the first big misconception we have to dismantle. Fluency is not about the size of your vocabulary, and it is definitely not about grammatical perfection.
Okay, so what is it?
Fluency is the ability to produce language smoothly, automatically, at a conversational speed, without those long, awkward pauses, without visible hesitation, and without relying on that constant internal translation. It's primarily about achieving flow, speed, and spontaneity. We're talking about automating the whole process of speech retrieval.
So if I'm understanding you right, it's not really a knowledge skill, it's more of a motor skill, like a physical training exercise for your mouth and your brain.
That is the most accurate and helpful analogy you can possibly use. Compare it directly to riding a bicycle or playing the piano.
Hmm.
When you first start, you have to consciously think about every single movement. Which finger goes where? How do I balance? Which grammar rule applies here? It's slow. But when you become fluent, the movement, the speech, it becomes automatic. Your mouth and brain move without that slow, conscious calculation. You bypass the internal translator.
So how does that goal of fluency, that smooth automatic flow, how is it different from the other major goal, which is accuracy? Can you be fluent but inaccurate?
Yes, and this is a critical distinction for B1 learners. Accuracy is about the correctness of your grammar and vocabulary. A person can be highly accurate, they never make a mistake, they follow every rule perfectly, but they might pause every 3 words because they're translating and checking rules in their head. They are not fluent.
Right. Their speech is slow and stilted.
Exactly. Conversely, a speaker can be highly fluent. They can speak fast and smoothly and maintain a great flow, but they might make a lot of small, non-critical grammar mistakes.
So the goal for the B1 learner, then, should be to prioritize that flow and spontaneity, that motor skill over chasing perfect grammar.
Precisely. The research strongly suggests that the intermediate plateau is often rooted in a motor skill deficit and psychological inhibition, not a lack of grammar knowledge. The brain knows the rules, but it hasn't trained the mouth to retrieve the words fast enough. We have to prioritize fluency training to automate that retrieval.
Okay, give us a detailed real-world scenario of how that consistency actually enables this.
Think about a professional musician. They don't practice a difficult piece just once a week for 3 hours. They practice the hard parts every single day. So imagine a learner who commits to a simple 5-minute monologue every day. They just talk out loud about their plan for the day or their opinion on a movie.
A low-stress rehearsal.
A structured, low-stress rehearsal. Over time, when they enter a real conversation, the sentences, the common phrases they've rehearsed over and over, they just come out without conscious thought. They've trained the muscle, and now the body just moves automatically. That's the goal of consistent daily practice.
That is a very powerful motivator.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dive into the vocabulary that defines this core strategy. Our next word is consistent.
A word that means so much more than just regular.
Right, so let's go deeper than the dictionary. Is consistent just another word for regular?
Yep.
What specific reliability does it imply that regular doesn't quite capture?
That's a great question. Regular just means something happens at fixed intervals. Consistent takes that regularity and adds the crucial element of uniformity and reliability. The core meaning of consistent is acting or done in the exact same way over time, especially so as to be fair, accurate, or predictable. It speaks to a uniformity that generates trust and reliability in the result.
So if a process is consistent, I can count on the outcome.
You can absolutely count on the outcome.
Okay, let's hear the power of that reliability through 5 diverse examples.
Let's do it. Formal first. The new protocol ensured the study showed highly consistent results across all demographics, allowing for firm conclusions.
Predictable and reliable. Casual.
She's incredibly consistent. She always drinks that exact tea at 9:00 a.m. no matter what.
A creature of habit. Okay, funny or weird.
His consistent attempts to balance a spoon on his nose during board meetings finally paid off.
I'm not sure how, but okay. Historical example.
The consistent application of military pressure eventually broke the 5-year political deadlock.
Steady, reliable pressure. And philosophical.
Genuine mastery in any field is built through consistent daily effort, not sporadic bursts of enthusiasm.
And that philosophical one ties right back to our B1 challenge. It's the daily grind, not the once-a-month heroic effort.
Exactly.
Let's try that extended role play about staying consistent with a difficult routine. Maybe a workout plan. Hey, you seemed incredibly energetic lately. Did you finally start that marathon training you were talking about 6 months ago?
I'm trying to. But, the biggest challenge isn't the physical running itself. It's the mental discipline required to stay consistent.
Oh, I totally get that. It's so easy to do a huge, guilt-ridden run for 3 hours one weekend. and then feel so exhausted you skip the next 3 planned days,
Right.
and then you just feel worse.
Exactly. I realized that one grueling 2-hour run is way less effective physically and mentally than 3 highly consistent 30-minute runs spread through the week. I need to be more consistent with my effort.
So you're setting a schedule that's reliable and repetitive, even if each individual session feels small.
That's the absolute key. I now run for 20 minutes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning, rain or shine,
Yeah.
and that consistent practice is what builds the muscle memory and the discipline.
It sounds so much more effective than chasing some perfect, massive performance every single week.
It's the only way to transform that little by little progress into genuine, lasting, reliable results.
Okay, let's nail down the critical collocations and nuances for consistent.
Okay, so focus on these phrases. Consistent practice, like in language learning, aiming for consistent quality in a product or service, the essential advice to stay consistent, and maintaining consistent effort. The core nuance is that consistency is the key mechanism for transforming minor daily progress into reliable compounding results over time.
Our next idiom is directly linked to this. It's the perfect encouragement for any B1 learner feeling frustrated. The idiom is small steps, ADDUP.
It's a deeply encouraging and powerful phrase. It's all about that cumulative effect of minor choices.
Spotlight time. Is this phrase just another way of saying be patient?
It's much more active than that. Patience can feel passive, like you're just waiting. This concept is about acting and observing the consequence of repeated action. The core meaning of small steps add up is this. Many individually minor actions, when done repeatedly and consistently over time, accumulate to create a significant, large result. It's about the compounding effect of persistent daily effort.
I love that. Let's hear the power of that accumulation across 5 different scenarios.
Right. Formal first. The company's new water-saving policy demonstrated how small steps add up to significant annual savings.
Okay, makes sense. Casual.
I didn't think reading 1 chapter a day mattered much, but honestly, small steps add up, and I've suddenly read 5 books this year.
That's a great real-world example. Funny or weird?
Eating just 1 peanut butter cup every single day eventually proved that small steps add up, both on the scale and the credit card bill.
Unfortunately true. And historical.
The construction of the Great Wall was only achievable because countless small steps moving 1 stone at a time added up over centuries.
A monumental task built from tiny actions.
Yeah.
Finally, philosophical.
Moral character is not built in one heroic act, but through daily small choices. Small steps add up to destiny.
That accumulation principle is just so universally applicable.
It is.
Let's do that extended role play. Imagine one of us is discouraged about their English progress and needs that psychological boost.
I'm just so frustrated. I feel like I've been doing my 20 minutes every day for months, but my speaking hasn't suddenly changed. I still pause and feel awkward all the time.
Hey, wait a minute. You're falling into that trap of only looking at the mountain peak and ignoring the path you've already climbed. You're showing up every morning, right?
I am for 20 minutes, but it just feels so insignificant compared to the fluency of native speakers I watch online.
Listen to me. Those 20 minutes of daily practice, that's over 100 minutes of active speaking a week. That's hundreds of hours over a year. You are making progress, you just can't see the compounding effect yet. You have to remember that small steps add up.
I guess you're right. I'm expecting some sudden magical flash of genius where I wake up fluent instead of trusting the process of gradual improvement.
Exactly. That little bit of practice you do every morning is strengthening your brain. It's happening bit by bit. That one step today is paving the way for the 100th step next month. Don't give up now.
Okay, thank you. I really needed that reminder to just focus on the small daily win.
You got it. Now for the listener, let's quickly discuss the related concepts for small steps, ADDUP.
We often use this phrase alongside concepts like maintaining a daily rhythm, appreciating gradual improvement, progressing bit by bit, and emphasizing consistency to achieve the compounding effect. The key nuance is the phrase's inherently encouraging and positive tone. Use it to motivate someone who's facing a long-term goal where the daily effort might feel really small.